So was
30.
all this was all just like back running and bots like going crazy all this time?
MEV, baby. Guess so.
Crazy if so.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're recording. All right, dude. Welcome to the first episode of the Proof of Drink podcast. This is literally not at all what I expected the first episode to be. Kind of wanted to be a little bit more prepared than midnight on a Friday night. Already a few beers deep. But you know what? We had Evan. He was available at this time, and we didn't know if there was another good time that was going to work. So we just fucking decided to do it live. And so, yeah, this is going to be
Bill
fun.
O'Reilly. Insert Bill O'Reilly joke.
And as a very fitting topic for like completely unprepared, just like rambling, kind of drunk. Me and Evan. Oh, I guess I should like intro what this podcast is supposed to be about. So let me start there, just because if you're listening, welcome. This is called Proof of Drink. Basically, the the idea behind the podcast is going to invite guests on, and prior to the podcast, they're going to have to tell me their drink of choice. And then we'll go out, we'll buy the ingredients, we'll make the drink. I'll probably publish the ingredient list beforehand. So like if you're listening along live, you can like go out and drink the drink with us. And so, yeah, that's the idea. I want to keep it super informal. I'm not going to prepare any questions for it. Maybe sometimes I'll prepare some questions, but I just want to have like extremely candid conversations with people throughout the Web3 ecosystem. And do we even call it Web3 anymore? I'm not going to refer to it as Ethereum, because like we were just talking about this, and we're not Ethereum maxis. Ethereum's just the best right now, like objectively the best platform out there right now. And so there's some other things coming online that are interesting, and we look at all of them, and there's other pieces to the puzzle that are also interesting. Ethereum doesn't solve every piece of the decentralized web. So anyway, I'm ranting, but that's Proof of Drink podcast, and we're going to be ranting. And
White Russians, Big Lebowski style. That would have been my drink of choice, but instead,
dude, you can come back on. We'll do a more formal one next time.
This is a Belgian from west of Austin.
Yeah. Oh,
fuck. This is the greatest podcast already.
Oh my god, dude. It's fucking
Billy, have you ever had a beer before? Is this your first one?
I'm like trying to focus on the podcast, dude. All right, yeah, tell us what you're drinking over there, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, okay, so this is it's called Devil's Backbone. It's a Belgian triple by Real Ale, which is in Blanco, Texas, out in like the hill country out west of Austin. I've never been there. I've had this goal to make it out there sometime and just never have, but the hill country is beautiful. I think the Devil's Backbone refers to, since it's the hill country, there's some road near Blanco that is twisty and windy, and so I guess it has the name Devil's Backbone. I could just be making this up. I'm only
I think you just made all that up.
Beer, by the way, but it doesn't matter.
Do you know actually, never mind. I was going to ask, you know if like Zoom records both videos, or if it's just like you're one person talking at a time?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll see after.
It might depend on which view you're in, whether you're in speaker view or gallery view.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I would guess that's what it depends on. Yeah.
Anyway, we don't want to bore people with that, but I'm drinking a very foreign and exotic beer called a Corona.
Yeah, nice.
I'm down here in the land of Puerto Rico. That's like one of the few things that they sell at my local grocery store that just has like no non-rotten meat and stuff. But we make do with our Corona extras. Yeah, not like, so this is not like, I expect like very fancy drinks. I don't really know much about alcohol. I'm probably not the best host for this thing, but it'll be a learning experience. And I'm going to learn all these like new drinks that you can make. And hopefully that I hope that when you come on to this podcast, you do not choose Corona. When you don't choose like a beer, choose something like cool. And if you want to ship me something, that would be even cooler, because I don't have access to very much stuff in the middle of nowhere in Puerto Rico. But anyway,
I mean, this is probably what I would have picked anyway. I'm not really a cocktail kind of guy. If I was going to get fancy, it'd probably be port or something like that, which I really never imbibe, but
perfect.
You know,
then we're
I do like
starting
port.
off on the right foot. So me and Evan actually did. I had an old podcast called Ethereum Hot Takes a while ago, and we back then. I don't even know if we were using CoinGecko. I think it was still CoinMarketCap, but
No, I think I insisted that we use
you
CoinGecko.
did. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, I've never used CoinGecko before. What is that? And you're like, oh, it's way better. That was like right at the transition point. Um, but we went through the top 25 crypto by market cap and just spoke truth to them, whether or not they were good or bad. And that's what we do here. We're objective truth seekers, and we're not maximalists. We're just like honestly trying to make the world a better place and trying to analyze all these different options out there. And there's some good things and there's some bad things and there's some absolute trash scam things and there's a lot of those. But we're gonna go through once again. And also, I'll probably post a link to the old video down below because I feel like the old 25 was probably super interesting. I haven't rewatched it, but like shit has changed. And I think what was ETH at, like $80, $100 back then?
Yeah,
Right
something
now,
like that, like 180, something like that.
yeah, and we're sitting at 28.50 right now. I mean, like,
Nice little bump.
cheers. Nice little bump.
Salud.
Yeah, nice little bump on the way to 100K.
I actually did watch our old episode
Oh, hell
5 months ago or something like that, randomly on I think probably a Friday night like this, where I was procrastinating from, shipping Week in Ethereum news. And, it's like this point in the week where I start asking myself how I managed to get into an existence where I know that my entire weekend is going to be like trying to ship the stupid newsletter. And I mostly have enjoyed the newsletter. I've done it almost 5 years now. It's just a long time to do any one thing. I don't think I've ever done anything for 5 years, quite honestly. I moved around job-wise and whatnot. So, yeah, it's been a while, and I'm tired of spending all my weekend every weekend on this thing.
You got the dream job though, man. I think at this point, a lot of us just sit here for 12 hours a day and read shit, and we don't have like an outlet to like tell that shit to other people. That's why I'm like excited about this podcast. But
what's funny?
People listen to you, and it's cool.
Sometimes, maybe. What's funny is like before we started this recording, we were talking about a project that apparently they went live a couple weeks ago, and I didn't even realize it. And I think they have some crazy fully diluted valuation.
Oh yeah.
But the app layer is so busy now that like I miss stuff. It's like it's not like the old days. It's like writing Week in Internet in like 1996 or whatever.
The Weekend, I love that. The Weekend Internet.
it starts to just like get too much, and I don't see everything, and
it's impossible.
There's also, certain like ecosystems which maybe I'm not really a part of and don't necessarily see, like even within Ethereum, right? Like little subcultures, sometimes geographic based, but sometimes just, there's like DAO specific people, there's, whatever it is, right? NFTs, which of course has exploded in the past few months. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't see it everything. It's crazy. I've actually sort of like considered taking AppLayer out of the newsletter because it feels like the thing that I don't cover the best and probably the worst, and yet it takes a lot of time too at the same time. So
you got to scale up, bro. You got to hire some analysts. You should have like a specific person dedicated to each different like L1, each different L1's app layer. You can even like segment by like different types of apps. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably some changes coming to the newsletter. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The other thing is like, it's basically become like at one point in like maybe 2018, 2019, I had a live on mainnet section that was separate from, the app layer section.
Yep.
And these days the app layer section is basically just the live on mainnet section, right? Because like,
that's cool.
There are people that just, ship all these blog posts about like announcing like their new Uniswap fork. but that's not really news, right? And I don't care, who you are, but like, you might be quote unquote a big project that, did an ICO and has a huge treasury from 2017, but your random like Uniswap fork isn't news. I mean, it's news if you can get people using it or if you're doing something like truly unique. But even then, that's usually, like, well, we're doing the Uniswap fork and we're planning these features for later. Like, I don't know. My view is that's not really news until you
Yeah.
actually launch the thing, right? But
Times have
that's
changed, man.
my view. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back at some of like the 2017 issues, and it's sort of crazy. Like
All ideas,
some
probably.
some of the things, yeah, that got in there. Is literally people just hyping their random. Like we put a name to this stupid feature that we plan on shipping, but it was like what the community was excited about, so it was newsworthy.
I think your job, even if you're tired of it, is going to become, it just gets exponentially more important as there's more data to consume. I mean, if your full-time job is to consume this stuff and everyone else is also trying to do the same thing with it without it being their full-time job, like people are going to need you guys, like, or people like you, people like Anthony Sassano, people like the Bankless guys, like, to distill the absolute massive fire hose of things to ingest, because it's quite frankly, it literally, it's not even just overwhelming, it's impossible. I try to do it. I try
Right.
to use these things that are already kind of like filtering the data for me, and even then it's like, holy shit, there's so much going on, which is exciting. It's cool to see all of this happen, growing from like a bunch, like 12 nerds in a room, to like what we're seeing now. It's pretty incredible. But at the same time, it's overwhelming, and I don't sleep anymore. You can see like my eyes, but I don't know.
It's great. It's great that like there are entrepreneurs that are relatively new to Ethereum too that can ship products in a relatively short period of time and get traction and make tons of
Mm-hmm.
money. Like that's the thing from actually shipping a product, not just doing an ICO, right? And that's the thing that is super exciting to me.
I agree,
And I think
man.
we're gonna keep attracting better talent because
I
of
think it's
that.
just starting. Yeah, I think that I think, like, so a stat recently came out. There are, I think, 5 million monthly active MetaMask users. I don't know if it was MAU, something like that. 5 million
Yeah.
MetaMask users and whatever. That's 0.06% of the world's population. That is an extremely small number. And I think, like, if you go to some of these, like, very well respected colleges and you talk to the computer science majors there, which I did, I've been doing it for the past, like, since I joined the Ethereum space. Um, they Working in crypto is not, they're like, who are you, crazy person? Like, I'm gonna go work for Google or Facebook and make some ridiculous amount of money and get some ridiculous stock options. Like, I'm not gonna go
Right.
work for Ethereum. Like, what is that? And now things are starting to change a little bit. I think we haven't even moved the needle in that direction. It's like that's how much we would move the needle. We got to get like over here. We went like this. Like, maybe there's a few of those people trickling in. Like, when we would have an engineer come from Apple, it'd be like, holy shit, like, let's welcome this guy with open arms. Like, we need this guy to help us build this stuff. Now I think like we got to get to the point where we're turning those people away. And I think the momentum's starting. And I think that, I don't want to get like too ETH maxi right now, but I'm going to, because I think this is like a very interesting point to touch on with respect to network effects. But if you are a brilliant engineer with a revolutionary idea, why would you choose any other layer one right now when, like, all of the action is happening on Ethereum? And I, I I don't see that changing anytime soon. Like, the only argument that I can see for doing something on anything other than like ETH L1 or like an L2 is you get bribed by the war chest of some like some other project. Um,
Yeah, but
like,
it's always surprised me how few of these chains actually tried to do that. which
That's
is
true.
mind blowing. Like in 2018, I actually, despite my supposed profile, like projects that asked me for advice or that I was an advisor to, I would tell them like, hey, I don't think Tezos is a high quality project. Like, obviously not, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, we can maybe get into that later, but like, they have insane amounts of money. Like right now, they have $1 billion in
Yeah.
treasury. Like, you should go ask them for money and get a grant. And
Mm-hmm.
they would give, like, first of all, they would turn people down, or they would like offer them insulting amounts as like the price of ETH was dropping, and like you would have thought, yeah, anyway, it was insane to me. And it's a little bit better this time around, because I think the things that are, like the next, like the wave of like quote unquote ETH competitors that are coming out right now that are separate blockchains are more legit than like, the folks that did ICOs in 2017.
Totally.
I think
Yep.
that's like, goes without question.
Yep.
But I still haven't really seen them like take advantage of their treasuries and try to. And it's such an obvious thing in my view.
I
But
agree. It's the only advantage. I mean, I think that there's like, if any other L1s are out there listening, there's two ways you get people. You pay them some stupid amount of money from your giant war chest, or you take you like dissect Ethereum and point out some major pain point, valid or not, like scalability. That's been hammered home by every that has been like scalability and latency have been the things that every single other L1 have focused on to date. And they've been everything just like promises like crazy stuff and sacrifices everything that Ethereum is about to get that. What you need to do as an alternative layer one is focus on some other pain points, because Ethereum has them. It's not perfect. We're all just figuring this stuff out. Like composability. It's like, okay, if all this stuff exists on all these different L2s, all these different shards, things start to get a little bit clunky. Like if you can figure out the composability piece of the puzzle better than we have, that's a big one. I mean, there's just like a lot of stuff like that are legitimate things that will attract real developer attention. But to date, you can't, unless you have like a very hard selling point, you can't compete with the network effects of Ethereum, because like can't compete with network effects, and also you can't compete with the agility of Ethereum, because Ethereum is like relatively malleable. I wouldn't say like super malleable, but like when there's a new thing, it's like, oh, Definity's heartbeat. Oh, okay, we'll build the beacon chain. It's like we adopt all the best ideas that kind of come out. So I think network effects plus agility of Ethereum are pretty hard to beat. The way that you got to do it is, you know, focus on some like major pain points. Anyway.
yeah, I you know I had a tweet this week about a near OG, or sorry, a Rust OG wrote about. He has a newsletter, Rust and Blockchain. The guy's name is Brian Anderson. He was like an early Rust core dev, and now he's gotten involved in blockchain. And he wrote basically that Near had the best experience for a developer, for and Solana. I think the other two we reviewed were Solana and Polkadot. Like Polkadot's Inc. language, which he said was basically just too immature, and Solana, which has this weird compilation target. So, like not worth even looking into it for him yet to date, right? And I think that like kind of says it all. I've actually talked to some chains, and so I'm always willing to have the conversation, because it's an opportunity to like get a sense of like what other chains are working on, right? So I'll always have the buddy really, I don't know, everybody thinks that they can like pay you like $1,000 and like I'm gonna like quit weekend Ethereum. Like it's like kind of insulting, right? Like how dumb do you think I am? um it's very, very strange. But some of these chains are looking for like developers of apps to be writing in Rust. And it's like, there are how many of these chains now how are you going to compete if you're not the best? Because there aren't that many Rust developers in the world, and there aren't that many
Totally.
Rust developers interested in blockchain. Plus, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're the best like Near, then you know maybe that makes sense. And like Rust devs are obviously smart, so you know that's like a good little niche to
That's a
be
good
in.
point. Yeah,
Something
I
to
guess
fill.
that's like another one. Like if you can provide the best developer experience, especially for a specific subset of developer, that could also be a selling point. There are some selling points. Anyway, just don't fucking scam people with like fake things. So speaking of like scamming people with fake things, let's let's dive into the top 25, and maybe there's like a cool graphic. I'm not going to do any post production. Who am I kidding?
I was gonna say, are you
This
really?
is gonna be absolutely raw. Share screen. Here we go, baby.
It's getting serious now.
Can you see this?
Yep.
All right. What is Bitcoin dominance below 50%, ETH at 14.2%? Oh my
It's a
god, my
long,
heart.
long time coming.
A long
Long
time
time coming.
coming. Oh, that feels good.
Long, long time
Um,
coming.
anyway, that shit's gonna change. Those numbers gonna flip sometime in the future. I don't
Wait,
know when.
483 Gwei. It wasn't like
Where do you see
10
that?
minutes ago when I checked. It was at 28
Holy shit.
Gwei.
Wait, let's check.
Something either just went crazy or CoinGecko's a little slow.
Wait, totally wrong.
Okay.
27. That's so cheap. I actually kind of want to like end this podcast and go like tend to my
Go make some
crops.
transactions.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Dude,
Good job.
you are randomly cutting out. I don't know if that's on your end or my end. Probably my end because it's Puerto Rico, but or maybe my computer's overheating. But
Mine's bad too.
okay.
It's probably, it could be
Anyway,
me.
so
Sorry.
also, uh, David Mihal introduced me to this website, Gas Now, much better than ETH Gas Station, which I was previously using. It's like it's got these charts. Yeah, this
Yep,
is super cool. Very nice. Use this. Um,
for sure.
so number one, we're spicy already out of the gates. Bitcoin. Evan, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, do we even really need to cover that? Everything that's
Yes.
been said about Bitcoin has been said. You know, like
What?
this whole digital gold thing. First of all, it's a relatively small market in general, I would say, compared to the market that Ethereum's going after, which is much bigger. Of you know being um, like the financial settlement layer and the host of like you know all web applications in the future, and having ETH possibly being the native currency of the web, right? Um, but you know, in digital gold, it does fit Bitcoin in some ways because you know gold is hard to store and hard to transact with and hard to use, so that all fits for Bitcoin. And you know, Bitcoin's sustainability as to whether it can actually pull off the actual supply cap uh, is also, if I'm being generous, in doubt.
Yep.
So, you know, I would say that, you know, that also fits gold, right? Because like, for all we know, we'll find, you know, a big deposit of gold and, you know, something, and like the price of gold will go down just because somebody, you know, pulls it all out of asteroids or whatever, like the Winklevosses said on the
Dave Portnoy
Portnoy
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts. You know, you're probably more or less bearish on Bitcoin than I am. So I'll let you have your
I
say.
I am. I still hold some of my Bitcoin. I think I'll hold it forever, just kind of as like a sentimental thing. And I think you know, I'm not doing it out of like, it's not a financial decision for me. It's more of a sentimental decision. And you are frozen. Are you still there? Fuck. Oh, you're
Yeah, I'm
back.
here. Can you hear me?
Cool. So I think that for a very long time, and a long time is extremely relative, but at least a few years, Bitcoin will be the only thing that people know. Like it is hard enough for the average person to understand Bitcoin, like let alone Ethereum. maybe we can figure out some extremely easy way to explain Ethereum, maybe through really good user experiences for some applications. But at the end of the day, people think of crypto, they think of Bitcoin. If you're entering the space, you're gonna buy Bitcoin first, especially as big institutions. If you are a financial advisor and you're recommending someone buy crypto, at this point it's like you're gonna recommend that people buy Bitcoin, probably Ether too, but 100% you're gonna recommend they buy Bitcoin. And so I think number will go up for the foreseeable future, but we were all Bitcoin maximalists at first. I do want to touch on that. It's like we believed in Bitcoin, but you know, it just it's very stagnant and literally nothing has changed. And Ethereum is, I think, carrying out the original vision of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will never carry out that original vision. And TBD whether or not Bitcoin exists far into the future, because like once the block rewards end or like get minuscule, have you heard any good? I still don't know what the maxi argument is against that, but I
Yeah,
think this
nothing
like
that makes sense. Yeah.
nothing that makes sense. Like transaction fees are not going to be enough to sustain the network. Like I don't know. I think that Ethereum is doing almost everything right. Bitcoin's doing a lot of things wrong. It's Bitcoin's going once we have the merge, Bitcoin is going to be way more centralized than Ethereum. And so at this point, it's like what your argument is store of like I don't want to create tribes, but the Bitcoin argument right now is like store of value. And it's like, well, what if you have a store of value plus a like a
Usability. Yeah.
Turing complete program, like you can implement literally anything on top, plus it's like anything, it's like x plus infinity is greater than x. Like it's just math. That is why like it's literally math. That's why Ethereum's better. Anyway, so that's my take on Bitcoin. But yeah, I'm gonna hold mine just because it's like near and dear to my heart. That's where we all started out, and
Yeah. So I have
gotta
a
pay
post.
respect.
I might have said this in our in our episode a year ago, but I have a post about how it made sense to be a Bitcoin maximalist, and until whatever you could pick a date, right? Like
Yeah,
until Ethereum happened or until Ethereum launched. And to be fair, like it wasn't really clear that Ethereum was going to work. There were proof of
100%.
concepts
Yep.
really early on in 2014, but I don't know. There was a lot of like open questions, and then even when the network launched, et cetera, et cetera. So, uh, yeah, everything else basically before in quote unquote crypto before Ethereum. I mean, you have to define what scam means when you say scam, but I mean, basically a scam. I mean, like some of them were like maybe well-intentioned projects, but there was, I mean, none of that junk really survived, right?
I think most crypto projects have been an attempt to acquire more Bitcoin, and now they are an attempt to acquire more Ether. And I like,
Some truth to that, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and yes, there were legitimate innovators building legitimately interesting stuff, but I think for a large majority of projects, that is the end goal for a lot of the early people involved in them, is to acquire more of these like actually useful and actually valuable cryptos. Um, and to your point, I actually like very much agree with that. It's like we didn't know Ethereum was going to work when we were sitting in like 2014 or whatever, when I went to like those first Ethereum meetups. I didn't think they were going to pull it off. Like I was like, how the fuck are you going to do this? Like this sounds amazing in theory, but like this seems kind of impossible. And then there was like a lot of people were shooting holes in this stuff. People thought it would never work. And now that it's working, and so there was like different thresholds. I took the crazy gamble, was like, fuck it, maybe it'll work. Then it's like, okay, went live, was kind of working, but there were no useful applications. And it's like, okay, you can still be a skeptic, somewhat of a skeptic at this point. If you can see what can be built, then you're like kind of no longer a skeptic. But if you can't see what's going to be built, then I understand that you could have some skepticism. But now that there's like actual useful shit built and there's millions of people interacting with it, it's like, bro, we passed that point. It's like it's literally it's staring you in the face at this point, and there is literally no reason to not accept that this is useful. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
kind of crazy.
it's kind of crazy. It's actually crazy, and I think what happens is it's very easy to be a Bitcoin maximalist because there's nothing going on. It's like orange coin good, number go up, and it will go up forever. And so they just don't have to learn anything. They don't, dude, goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like you have to spend your whole day learning about infinite stuff. These guys don't have to learn about anything because there's nothing going on. They just hold their Bitcoin.
That's why they talk about carnivory all day and whatnot.
Exactly, dude. And so it's an easy life, and I don't respect it, but you know, it's a choice, and you do you. But I personally am interested in like the future and building a better world, and Bitcoin can help in some small way. It can be like economic bandwidth on Ethereum, but this is where
For a
the
short
action's
period of
happening.
time.
For sure. Yeah. Anyway, we kind of beat Bitcoin to death, but
Yeah.
any
BNB?
final remark?
Nah.
What? No, talk about Ethereum. Like, quick, what's going on right now? We're at 2838, which is literally crazy. I mean, I think it's going to 10K at least this cycle, but yeah, we had a like beginning. We said we had another podcast that was about a year ago, and we're at like $100. We've gone 28x. What's going on?
Yeah, you know what? Like the space has been marked by hyper volatility, and you know, I, and to be fair, like the early internet, early web.com. I mean, there was a lot of stuff there too. You know, it is. I've actually, I like you can probably find some like crazy price predictions like that I've made over the years, like ETH USD price predictions. Maybe like somewhat tongue in cheek, although maybe it's not obvious in retrospect if you don't know my humor. But uh, in general, like I tend to like say like relative to Bitcoin, like I think it's undervalued relative to Bitcoin or whatnot.
Yep.
I think those days are getting close to being over because now it is actually such a platform that's being used that it's more it can actually be you can actually use valuation techniques, whereas like with Bitcoin you can't really because it's a meme coin. But I like this 1559 thing, which is a usability increase, to make it easier to get transactions included in a block. I'm excited about that. Obviously, it's probably going to make the price of ETH go up because it burns half of the transaction, half of the base fee. But I think that really it sort of enshrines ETH in the protocol as well, because technically you can pay out of band for miners right now, whereas like off chain, whereas with 1559 you can't. So that's that's a big thing. But I think the real thing is, and that's going live probably in July, maybe in early August. But it's basically been ready. They've just been very careful since it's as it says right here, $327 billion network. You got to be pretty conservative on these things. But to me, the real thing is turning off proof of work and using the proof of stake that we have that's been running, up and running, but only coming to consensus as to itself. I think it's when we start using that consensus to replace proof of work and we turn off proof of work. To me, that's just like a game changer in blockchain, as big as when the Ethereum network went live, because I don't know that I've really like talked about this very much, but crypto is pretty similar to commodity markets, where there is, generally speaking, a general like slow bleed and then short violent upswings. And you can basically see that in like the price of Bitcoin and Ether. Of course it's also gone up over time as well, but you can definitely see like shorts, serious price spikes, relatively short, followed by long, slow bear market bleeds. And that basically makes sense because that's like how commodities markets work, where there's, when supply and demand get unbalanced, like when there is, more demand than there is supply, it just goes nuts. And in crypto, like, in normal commodities markets, it's a little different, but I mean, in crypto, it's basically the same because we have miners like ETH and Bitcoin, where they have to sell the stuff that they're mining in order to pay their hardware costs and their electricity costs. And so there is a natural state where there will be a slow bleed until these, like short, violent spikes. And once we turn off proof of work, and we cut issuance, by like several orders of magnitude, it's just a completely different ball game, right? For the nature of ETH as an asset, when it doesn't have, I think it's like $60 million of daily sell pressure right now. So every day, in order for the price of ETH to just stay even, it's got to have $60 million worth of buy pressure to basically match the what is mined. I just think that is a true, complete game changer. And also, I assume that will make the price of ETH go up, especially relative to Bitcoin, presumably relative to dollars as well. But that is something that I think will really wake people up in the outside world and say like, oh, wow, this is like, the people that have been like sort of following it or whatever, like they'll really realize that like, this thing has legs and is being
Yep.
used and is not going away.
I think depending on like the threshold of open-mindedness of a person, they need like an increasing amount of evidence to be convinced of a thing. And like every single step we go up, like a new wave of people will be convinced. And there's people who saw DeFi and they're like, oh shit, yep, this makes sense now, and they flooded in. Then it's like there's some people who are completely motivated by price and going over 2K, they're like, oh shit, we'll come in. And there's like all of these different things that will just like incrementally bring in new waves of people. And when they come in, they're going to be buying ETH. And with EIP 1559 and the merge happening, like there was going to be this very virtuous flywheel, we're calling it now. I learned this term this weekend. It's called flywheel, where, we're burning
It's Amazon's
like
thing.
people
Flywheel.
everything successful turns out has a flywheel. So you've got people pouring in. You got people pouring in. They're buying ETH. They're using Ethereum because it has uses, unlike some of these meme coins. So they're using Ethereum. They're burning ETH. The supply of ETH is going down. That means that the rewards, like the more ETH is used, the more stakers are going to get. And the more the value of the ETH goes up because the ETH is getting burnt. So less supply. Miners are getting paid stakers are getting paid way more, validators. And so the APY goes up. People see the APY go up. People buy ETH to stake. They lock that ETH away. That ETH is no longer liquid. It's out of the supply. So you have this like price keeps going up. Returns keep getting better. People keep buying ETH to stake more ETH, taking it out of like the current circulating supply. And at the same time, I don't know.
It can also actually work with like people that don't buy ETH too. I mean, just like developers flooding into the space because, like you said earlier, it's not like a really a career option. A lot of prestigious universities, which kind of makes sense. I mean, if your career path is like if you're the type of person that wants to get into prestigious universities, you often don't want to take risk until you have a certain amount of money. Like especially if you're not already rich. I that all that makes sense, right? But once these, as the price goes up, I think salaries are going to go up and eventually be competitive with the FANGs and the Facebooks,
Well, dude,
Amazon's, Apples, and
I
that
just thought
is
about
game changer.
I just thought about this the other day. So with the merge, the returns from staking are probably going to be good enough for a lot of these protocols to like self-sustain indefinitely just from the rewards from staking. So let's say Lubin's making 20% on his ETH. he can sustain consensus forever. It's like there's going to be money's not really going to be a problem for sustaining the ecosystem anymore, which I think is like a bigger deal than a lot of people realize. And to your point, yeah, the same time as this like virtuous flywheel is happening over here, developers are flooding in. They're building more applications on Ethereum. More ETH is getting burnt because now there's more things to do with your ETH, and more people are coming in to interact with those things. And so it's like overwhelming, like what is going to happen. It's going to be the Ethereum singularity. Nothing's going to be the same after this. I'm calling it now. Like we can't, I don't think it's possible for us to like accurately predict what happens after this point. That's why I'm calling it the singularity, but I think it's going to be crazy.
So I was, we were talking about, colleges for universities and
They're going to say
computer
Cardano.
science. My, my, I was in college and during the dot-com bubble. And so I went to Rice, which, is not maybe like the most brand name school, but if I were pumping my alma mater, I would say that when I was there, it was like the sixth highest in incoming SAT scores. And, like the people that were higher were like, Caltech, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, right? Like that was like, I think we were tied for Duke the year I started. Anyway, like it's a pretty like legit crew. So it's pretty good school, even though it's surprisingly not known, especially internationally. I mean, I saw like even like then where like there was a time when all of a sudden like people were like this computer science grads were getting offered insane jobs to go work for startups, and it was okay. And then actually like by the time I graduated, it was not okay. And all of those people mostly did not go work for startups. And it was actually even sort of weird, like the people that went and like joined Google, it was almost like, why aren't you, going and getting a real job like for an IBM or a Microsoft? I mean, I guess that just shows you how old I am. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how things change, right? And I definitely think that it is one of those things where we're going to see developers coming in, and the talent wave still hasn't really hit Ethereum, in my opinion.
No, it hasn't. And I was previously working on this initiative called 1 million developers. I think that I don't even have to work on it anymore because it's just going to happen organically. Like there was a point over the past few years where it very much felt like we had to be active to make Ethereum succeed. Like from the beginning, that's why I've dedicated my whole career to this, is because it didn't have like self-sustaining momentum. It felt like a child that we needed to help grow up, and we needed to get it to this point where it had enough momentum to the point where like, we could start stepping away and be like, all right, we're entering retirement. Like I'm this old man. I've existed in crypto for 10 years, dude. It's like, that's a million years in normal people years. I'm like old. And so, only in the past few months has it really felt like to me at least, that we have that momentum where if, I step away, or if like a few key players step away, it will keep going. And I feel very confident in that. And it did not feel like that for the past few years. And so like we fucking did it, man. Like especially you, like you did it. There's like, we did it. It's fun and it's cool. It's cool to see this like thing grow up, but yeah, I don't know. Like we're entering that stage, and this virtuous flywheel is gonna like help.
Yeah, Web3 is cool, man. I'm still excited about the things that are going to get built. And
Yeah,
I, yeah, DeFi is a real thing. It's a real thing that, like, of course there's risks and a lot of them compound, but it can actually be meaningful to people and countries that actually might need it. And of course I lived in Argentina. I have some connections to Argentina. There, of course, obviously the transaction fees when they were 100 gwei were sort of prohibitive, but there is no place on earth, as far as I can tell, that believes in the US dollar more than Argentina, including America, right? I mean, they really, they believe in the dollar, and the ability to get these these, we call them stable tokens, but I think crypto dollars is a better term. And then even get interest on them is just a game changer, right?
Yeah.
These are real uses that, like Bitcoiners can poo poo, but like,
Dude, and I remember you got a ton of slack for saying something like that. You're like, hey, if you're like living in one of these countries, like it's probably prudent for you to put all of your money into like a ether or a stable coin. I forget what your exact words were, but I feel like people were like yelling at you, and I was like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah. People read a lot into that tweet that I didn't actually say in the tweet, which, I mean, to be fair, I could have worded it differently, but I think it was about how I told someone in Argentina to put their life savings into DeFi, and like, by the but and like there's like some caveats to it, right? Like, I obviously, like, it was somebody I know and I'm close to, and like there's a whole like long list of caveats, which I think were like obvious if you thought about it for any second, right? But yeah, anyway, people like some like Bitcoiners try to like make it out like I was telling people to put their life savings into DeFi, which is like not true. But uh if your alternative is like dollars under a mattress, or even worse, pesos under a mattress, then like, the peso is permanently hyperinflated, right? Like, it's like the definition of hyperinflation is 100% inflation over a 3-year period. So basically like 30% a year. And the Argentine peso is perpetually at hyperinflation under that definition. So, if your alternative is like putting pesos in or a mattress or whatever it is, like, obviously DeFi is less risky than that. It's
yep.
like obvious. And, the person that did this is obviously not upset at me.
Yep.
And I like, obviously, like, I'm not telling anyone else like to do that or not, right? Like, this was a very specific thing, like, that everyone took out of context, but whatever. I thought it was hilarious too, though, like all these Bitcoiners that will
That's
tell
so
everyone that
hilarious.
they should put their life savings into a meme coin are telling me that, like, like, I could explicitly framed it as, if your alternative is holding pesos or whatever, like,
Yeah.
DeFi is real, and like, yeah, it's risky, and like, but it's less risky than the peso. Anyway, it's crazy.
Anyway, Ethereum
People still
good.
bring that up on Twitter, which I think is
Dude,
hilarious. Like, people are still trying to, Bitcoiners are still trying to cancel me for
they
it. It's
they
like,
got nothing else to talk about. They're just hanging out, eating their steaks, watching their orange coin just sit there, and like sometimes the number goes up, sometimes the number goes down. There's nothing you can do about it because there's nothing happening. Like Lightning Network, oh my, come on. Like,
yeah.
what?
State channels are hard.
What's that like? Oh my god, what's like the NFT thing for? I forget. I don't even care. It's like so irrelevant that it literally doesn't matter. But anyway, we're past
There's an
Bitcoin.
NFT for Lightning.
I think it's like I'm gonna misspeak, and I don't want to.
All right, let's
But
move on.
like, let's see.
Binance.
Oxstream NFT hasn't.
Oh, they have some. Oh, on Liquid.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you sad? It literally makes me sad. Like,
Uh,
outside of the fact that I'm not a Bitcoiner, the fact that these guys that preach decentralization, and then they go in, they pump their like
dude, it's
their side
honestly.
chains, which are insanely centralized. I mean, Lightning is at least, pretty decentralized. It doesn't work, but it's at least like, relatively decentralized. And will never work at scale, really, right? I mean, it has a lot of problems. I mean, state
Dude,
channels are insanely hard. No, I don't want to
yeah,
hate
of
on Lightning, by the way. I'm not. That's not like my point here.
course
Like,
not.
I like the Lightning devs. Like,
They're
it's a
so
hard
good.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard problem, and I think like we found this out in Ethereum. It's a really, really hard problem.
They're
So I don't want to hate on them by any means, but like
yeah.
Liquid, I mean, come on, man. Like, it just calls into question everything else you've ever said about caring about decentralization.
Yep. Dude, and yeah, I hit on Lightning Network real quick. So it was a few years ago, and I ran into like one of the Lightning devs, and I think it's like their CTO. He's like so fucking brilliant, and I hear him speak, and I'm like, this guy is an alien. He is from another dimension. So like literally the smartest person, one of the smartest people probably to ever grace this planet. And I like ran into him in a, like a club in SF, and I was like, dude, like we got to get you over to Ethereum. And he's like, no, I'm working on like real stuff. And I feel like that's how some of these like super nerds view it. They're like, they want to solve like the hard technical problems. Like they're trying to solve like they're still trying to make Bitcoin work. It's like, bro, you don't have to do this. It's like masochism. It's like there is no reason. Like, sure, it's a hard puzzle to solve. It's like maybe even an impossible puzzle. And there's some like man-made things that are going to be like relatively impossible for you to solve. Like you're never going to make Lightning Network successful when there's all these other better alternatives. Like literally just stop wasting your time doing that. Start moving humanity forward, start building. Like you could apply your absolute brilliance to actually building real stuff on Ethereum that people are going to use instead of wasting your time trying to solve hard technical problems. So anyway, that's a rant. But Binance Coin.
Speaking of
we're
centralization,
only number
Binance.
3. We're at an hour and a half. We're on
Yeah.
number 3 Binance Coin. I'm having fun though, so it's great.
I mean, Binance is like, Coinbase went up, right? So should it even be on this list? I mean, it's a centralized exchange. It's basically equity. I mean, is it like a crypto asset? I mean, sort of, yeah, maybe, I guess, if you squint hard enough. They have Binance Smart Chain, which maybe there's some like shows like of theater about using staking BNB for it. I don't even know. I mean, I don't really pay attention because it's obviously a show. I mean, like CZ controls the whole thing, right? But like Binance Smart Chain, like I'm not a hater on it. It's like it's obviously it's insanely centralized, but and Binance maybe like pushes it in a little bit negative way towards Ethereum, but more like towards their own users, where they're maybe not that honest about it, because it's basically just like having your assets on Binance, right? But like with even less protections.
But you can do cool shit. You can do degenerate shit with it.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like I was talking about Argentina, like look, if if your option is like you have like a couple $100 like under your mattress because you exchange your pesos for dollars, like people legit do, and then you get them onto a crypto exchange. Well, you're obviously not going to want to be spending even at frankly like 25 Gwei, like your $200 priced out of Ethereum, and so you can use XDAI and Matic or Polygon or Binance Smart Chain, and like that, all that is. It's not decentralized, but hey, it's right. I mean, I don't believe in hating on people that have successful products. You can hate on some of the marketing maybe, but
yeah, I think honestly, it is going to be a blessing for Ethereum because it's getting all these people acquainted with what they're
actually
going to experience. Exactly, with using MetaMask and aping it. Like DeFi summer, like L2 DeFi summer is going to be so hot because there's like this whole new wave of people who are going to be able to experience this stuff because yeah, like you said, it's your dude who with $100 who wants to like farm poly whale. It's like, okay, you can now interact with this ecosystem, and that's coming to Ethereum soon, and you're gonna like be able to do it right. But I mean, I hope that people don't stay entrenched in these things that don't make sense. And I think it's a net positive, honestly, because there's no way that some of those people don't flood over once this stuff is ready. And so I think it's good. And also I migrated some stuff to BSC and like interacted with it prior to like Matic and Polygon taking off, and prior to like synthetics is like staking being on Optimism. Like that was so interacting with, I mean, of course I'd interacted with the Ethereum testnets. It's basically like I don't know, it's like it's kind of a similar experience, but dealing with real money, having like quick and cheap transactions, you can talk about it all you want, but until you experience it, you don't really get like the full visceral effect. And once like just doing it means so much, just the experience of it, right. And you're like, holy shit, when this is going to change everything. like when I can just migrate, I don't have to, in advance plan out all of my strategies, because if I make a wrong trade or like migrate farms at the wrong time, I'm wasting like $1,000. Like if I don't have to think about that, I can just go boop, 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 like
Yeah,
farm,
right.
farm, farm. I'm joining 100 farms. I don't care. It's like changes the game. It
I mean,
literally changes
I
everything.
think I had thousands of transactions in on XDAI in 2019 and 2020
Hell yeah.
before, because I'm cheap on gas because it's ETH. I don't want to spend my ETH. Like I know ETH is going to go
Exactly.
up. Is like the way I think about it in my head, right? Not financial advice, but like that's the way I think about it in my head. So I don't want to spend my ETH like on gas. So I'm always been cheap on any mainnet transactions. But obviously, when I do that on XDAI, like I still put one DAI in, even though a lot of times or one GUI in MetaMask, even though it'll default you often to like 20 or whatever. One is perfectly fine to get you into the next block. And yeah, I mean it's cool. It's not decentralized. It's definitely a different ball game, but
Yeah.
it's neat. It's a vision of the future in
Do you
its
hold
own way.
stake?
No.
It's not doing too well. I bought some because I was like, XDAI, like maybe it'll be something that some people use. But
It's
anyway,
it is it is interesting to me how Matic has managed to
yeah,
really take over the game instead of XDAI. And
it's all
I
market like
marketing. I think maybe Igor. That's probably not like biz dev isn't his strong suit. And
actually John, dude, I pinged Igor, pinged Igor yesterday, and I was like, "You're making Polygon take off," and then I like looked and it was like his brother. It's like, damn it. Yeah. Anyway.
oh,
But yeah.
sorry, I meant Igor Baranov, not Lilich.
Oh.
I was very confused by that conversation for a second.
Dude, I think John is like having I don't know, having a legitimate Ethereum person behind it, kind of like massively showing it. That's why I like increased the legitimacy for me, at least. I don't know.
I mean, the business move, I don't know how much they paid their ETH shillers, but it was an insanely
And it
great
worked.
move on their part. Like,
Yep.
they paid Sasal and they paid Ryan, Sean Adams, and Hudson and John Lilich, and it's clearly, whatever they paid them, even if they paid them millions, it surely paid off, without a doubt. So,
Yep.
hey, that's the space, right?
Yeah, I
When
guess
it
so.
when like in the same on like a different level, is it really any different than Near? It's a side chain. I mean, they do some
Yeah.
like Milo has these tweets about it being a spectrum, and there is some level of truth there, but it's a side chain. I mean, it's not a trustless L2. Near has a rainbow bridge. Of course, I'm a Near investor, so I'm a little biased, right? But Near's rainbow bridge is relatively trustless. Everybody claims that their thing is trustless, right? But even Matic sort of has over the years. It just all side chains, even layer twos, I think in the long run, and this is maybe a little bit far afield from this
Commit
conversation,
chain.
but
I just saw Polygon is called commit chain, not side chain now. Because of commit. Yeah,
okay,
I'm just
because they have
I'm just about to
checkpoints. I
say.
think is what
Because
they do. They
every like
they
30
stick
minutes they
a
have a checkpoint. Yeah.
they have they stick a hash on mainnet or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Better than
yeah,
nothing is very.
yeah. I mean, that's
Sorry, I
still
didn't
a
mean to
side chain.
interrupt.
It's still
It's
not a
totally,
layer
yeah,
two,
it's
right?
not a layer two.
But I
Yeah.
was gonna say that like even like layer twos in some way, even though it is like the Ethereum vision, they are sort of competitors to Ethereum as well, in the future, right? And
Mhm.
some layer twos may even decide that, like, especially in like bull markets, that like there's more money in no longer committing like the roll up, no longer committing the data to Ethereum and go off on their own. Like it's a weird, like
I don't think so. I mean, like the definition of L2 is like you tap into the security guarantees of L1 Ethereum. So I think
as
they
long as the
can
market is
extract a lot of
immature,
value.
Sure, as long as the
But
market is immature and there are like useless chains that are, pumping because they're quote unquote a layer one and fat protocols or whatever,
mhm.
like I think there will be some temptation to do that, even though if this roll up that has a lot of success does that, they're probably hurting themselves in the long term.
Yeah.
I mean, it all people can have weird incentives based on when their lockup period is, right? So,
Near's at 69. Fuck yeah.
oh,
I
it's
knew
crazy.
I knew that it wasn't in the top 25, so I just want to, now that we brought it up, I want to talk about it. 60, that could not be more perfect. I'm so happy right now. But anyway, like I like Near. It's like let's just touch on this real quick. I view it as an alternative implementation of ETH2, but like ahead of schedule because they've got sharding and it kind of looks like ETH2, like definitely way less decentralized, but they're just like making those decentralization sacrifices to have like better scalability. And so there's like some what really interests me is like there's a few things, but like protocol level smart contract rewards like that I don't know they're doing things that we don't know if it's going to work out, but they're like interesting design decisions that should be experimented with in the real world. And they're not like some scam project, they're not like some fucking vaporware like Tron. Like it's a legitimate layer one where they're doing something that makes sense and they're taking the ETH2 vision, tweaking it here and there. There's actually a really good video. Maybe I'll link it in the description that like compares ETH2 to Near. And like you can see the trade-offs they make. And we don't know if the trade-offs are gonna work. And the network effects of Ethereum, like Ethereum's probably going to win in the end. Like, well, let's be real. But there, like, I think some value should accrue to this chain so that we can kind of test these hypotheses that Ethereum's never going to be able to test because they're making these like very different design decisions. Like, what do you think, Evan?
So an interesting thing that you said there, which I think is a bad choice, but it's an interesting one, and I'm glad
It's interesting.
that
Yeah,
they're
I think
doing
so
it.
too.
Is the built-in rewards, like, yeah, I think it's actually part of their version of 1559, which they have live and is working for them. But as part of that, I think they give part of what gets burnt to the deployer of the code. So
Correct. Yep.
the reason I think this is a bad idea, it's actually been a while since I've thought about this. So I'm actually not going to be able to give you a good definition of why I think it's a bad idea. But what I think is interesting about it, even though I don't think it's a good idea long term, is that, well, so I mean, one reason is it incentivizes inefficiency, right? In gas, and I think that's a bad move because, especially if you have these Ponzi's, then you are getting incentivized to have Ponzi's. However, that is in a weird way, and I'm like not condoning this because I don't do any of these Ponzi like games or anything like that. I'm a fundamental value kind of person. However, obviously, like Ponzi like games are big in crypto. I mean, that is unfortunately undeniable. There is a large, sort of like underbelly of our industry. So if you do a Ponzi scheme on Near, it's a game changer, right? Because
You
you
make
don't
so much
actually
money.
have to, you can like set it up so that it's actually like not a
Rug
negative
pull.
sum game where you're at the
Yeah.
top. You can make it like a like zero sum game somehow, but you'll still make money because you get the money from deploying the code. So it's kind of like weird like that. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I mean,
That's a
I
good
hate
point. I
I
never thought
like
of that.
Bitcoin maxis will like be like Evan says Ponzi's are great on here or whatever, right? Like, but it is actually like weirdly a game changer in that like underbelly of an industry. I mean, um,
That I never thought of that. That is very interesting.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if yeah, I don't know.
But dude,
I'm
that's
sure
like,
somebody will figure that out eventually.
oh, like it'll probably be in a few weeks, honestly. But that is like, that's how I view Near is don't know how it's gonna play out, but it'll be an interesting experiment, and I'm glad they're doing what they're doing, and
Those guys
like
are smart. I mean,
they're
Ilya, of
fucking
course, worked
smart.
on TensorFlow, and wrote one of the big papers in machine learning, like attention is all you need at Google. Alex was early MemSQL. I mean, they can do this. Of course, they did the interesting thing of only async, right? So they don't really have composability either, which is like easier from design perspective, but it is also different, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see. It's the opposite of like a. Well, I guess we'll get to them later because I think they're in the top 5.
Yeah, wait, let's go.
Let's
Like
go
we got,
faster. Let's go back. Like go back
yeah,
back to the
let's go
top here.
faster, and also let's scroll up to see what is valued more than near. Amp. What is amp?
I'm not sure I know what
I
AMP
don't
is.
know.
Yeah.
Sushi.
Stacks. You
Stacks.
gotta be kidding me. The thing that lied about having a million users.
That was
Oh wow.
hilarious.
I mean, it's crazy to me that was not more of a black mark on their reputation, a
Yeah.
stain on their reputation, because like they literally lied about having users. Anyway, Waves. Wow,
Smart
that's
guys.
still
Honestly,
around.
like back to like Stacks, smart guys. They lied about their users. It's not gonna work. Anyway,
Yeah, they're
Waves, I don't.
smart guys. They've never really like understood Ethereum though. That's like the
Right.
annoying
They
thing,
just
right?
don't
Like they troll
they just
it,
don't get it.
but
Yeah.
they don't even really like know enough to really like troll it well. I mean, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. What is this? Did you say you know what
Waves,
this
it's been
is?
around forever. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Trash. Trash. Well, like, what is did you maybe not trash. I literally just don't know what it is.
it's been
Trash.
around for a while too.
Trash.
Digibyte. Leo is that's Bitfinex.
Okay.
Celsius
This is an
is
interesting one.
BlockFi token. I mean,
Yeah.
so here's the thing.
Like what I want to know your take on Celsius because a lot of people
I,
use them.
doesn't the CEO like have some kind of crazy tweets? I've heard that. Anyway, I don't know about that. What I do know is that these guys like BlockFi and Celsius, people are like worried about Tether. I've never said anything about this, by the way, publicly, but these are basically banks operating as hedge funds with no regulation. So if you think that like what you're
Don't say that,
doing,
dude. Don't say that.
yeah, I mean, when you put your ETH or your Bitcoin into these things, you got to realize that they're fighting to have the highest interest rate that they can offer to people, which means that they are investing it somehow in ways, you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
basically like a
It's not
hedge
free
fund.
money. Yeah.
It's like they're not just the custodial risk, there's actual blow up risk
Totally.
and like scam risk if they get behind and then they tried to trade it back like a lot of these centralized exchanges eventually do. I mean, I think people don't understand the amount of money that or the amount of risk that they're taking on by doing these get 8% on your Bitcoin or your ETH in a centralized things.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. And like, I know people with like amounts deposited that are like significant fractions of this market cap. And I have a huge deposit with Celsius as well. I was using BlockFi because for some reason I trust them more, but then they reduced their rate. So I migrated to Celsius. But if price, like, I think in this market, they can probably maintain these yields and not go like belly up. But if the market starts to turn around, I'm immediately out because I don't trust that they're not going to go under. Um, I yeah, they're doing. Yeah,
But you know my opinion.
don't. Yeah, don't. Yeah, sketch, and also like for that they don't have the best risk management practices. So like definitely be more careful than probably most people have been. Hashgraph. What
We
the?
can't go one by one all the way up
Oh,
here. I
sorry.
mean,
Yeah, like
it'll go. We'll
okay.
go
Yeah.
crazy.
All right.
It's crazy to me that Zcash is that low. Although I'm
That is.
not surprised because I've never felt like Zuko. Although I found out yesterday that he blocked me on Twitter. Um, okay,
Great.
he
Like
used to follow me on Twitter, but whatever. We've had dinner
great.
together. Whatever. I think he cares a lot about privacy. I've never been that convinced that he like really cares about Zcash value going up. I don't know. I mean, I said this in early 2017 on a podcast. Like, I would never own Zcash basically because of that reason, and I've never had a reason to revise that view.
I just think we're going to implement privacy on Ethereum. You don't need a fucking coin to do it. Like, don't. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
stupid.
they've never. I mean, they've had time and they've never gotten traction on that. It's yeah.
What the fuck is
Synthetics, yeah,
Chili's?
cool. Chili's is like it's a token for like I've never really exactly understood what the theoretical design is, but it's for like they've signed up like Barcelona and Real Madrid
Oh
and
wow.
they do like fan tokens, club tokens for these. It's sort of like a personal tokens for sports clubs.
All right. Well, a bunch of like polka dot
NEM,
testnet is
Elrond,
still valued more than near. Just by the
Dash,
way.
yeah. Polka dot testnet. I mean, I had a tweet about this, but you know that Dan Larimer's next chain is going to have a value
Test
bearing
10,
test net.
10
And
test
then,
nets.
yeah, exactly. You knew where I was going with that. It's going to have
Yeah.
10 value bearing test nets. And like, I mean, I'm not trying to like really hate on, on Polkadot for doing that because there is some logic to it. Like for, to have a proof of stake test net with the, value bearing makes it a lot easier. But
I
on the
sold all
other
mine at
hand,
like $3.
$4 billion for a test net. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. It's
I sold
those
here.
things don't make me bullish on crypto price in the relative like short to midterm. Anyway.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Compound. So I did some back of the math. It was a decent bit lower at the time, but I did some back of the napkin math around their cash flows, which to be fair, they go into the protocol and their voting hasn't voted any of them to token holders yet, but they have a substantial amount of WBTC and ETH and USDC and DAI sitting in the reserves of the protocol, which governance could just vote to give themselves to themselves, right? So I would actually say, I mean, I haven't done the math lately, but
I'm bullish on Compound.
It didn't seem like it actually seemed like at the time, like it actually had a downright very reasonable valuation on the back of the napkin math that I did. I have a little bit of Compound just because I use the protocol and they give me comp, right? So
yeah, I've been recently buying it. I've also been recently at this price I don't know, but like Maker's, dude, honestly, like fucking does not get the credit it deserves. Like all hail Maker. I feel like that was the beginning.
right, yeah.
Maker DAO was the fucking beginning.
And it's really going away. I mean, they're getting rid of the foundation and it's really going to be a DAO.
It's so cool.
Which it has sort of been in the past at various points, but anyway.
I don't mean to stop on everyone, but what do you think about Algorand?
I don't think about it at all.
Yeah, I don't think about it all either. Okay,
because
that's why I wanted to ask. Because like people keep shilling it on Twitter. I'm just like, it's literally nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Again, I don't think about it at all, except when I get to tweet about the ghost chains and the zombie chains.
I think on the podcast last time, I was buying Tezos because I just expected like one of the top competitor L1s just to increase the market cap faster than this has. That was my only bet. Like I've hated Tezos from the beginning. If you're not familiar, they raised like fucking $250 million back when crypto was valued way less. Just absolutely stupid raise for like people who weren't that legitimate. Like, I mean, like they're not that smart. And so
yeah, I think actually Arthur is pretty smart, but Tezos has made a lot of dumb design decisions, and at various points along the way, I wasn't sure if they were even trying. And they didn't. There's no fundamental innovation there. It's on-chain governance. Right. That's their fundamental.
That's literally it, and it's a wrong.
Which is a bug.
It's a bug. Yeah, exactly. It's a wrong design decision. I don't want to say they're not smart. There's varying levels of smart. The person you need to be at the helm of your protocol needs to be an alien. They need to be a Vitalik. They can't be like, oh, it's like that guy's kind of smart. It needs to be like, holy fuck, like what? That's who you need. That's not Tezos. That's why, I bought into the pre-sale just because like, whatever. I sold most of that, but yeah.
Avalanche, did you
AVAX is
see the tweet, Professor Extractable Value? I
no.
think that
That's really funny. That's
describes
really
Avalanche in a heartbeat.
funny.
I, you know what bugs me is they're just not very honest about their trade-offs. Like they
Hmm.
haven't done any innovation, and yet it's insane. By the way, I did use AVAX Avalanche like a month ago or something. That is the least usable blockchain I've ever used. I mean, it's like mind blowing how bad and how insane it was.
You have to
It
like
was
migrate chains. There's like an S chain or
ridiculous, and it
something.
doesn't make sense. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I
Yeah,
I bought some AVAX. I wish I knew about it earlier because I would have bought it. Like how do you is it Emin whatever? Like he's been around for forever. He's like a smart dude. He's now turned into just like a total just like degenerate
so
shill,
yeah.
which is kind of sad.
It's
But
crazy because he used to be the guy that criticized all those people, and now
yeah,
it's Professor
exactly.
Extractable Value.
The professor extractable. I love that. But I think their consensus mechanism is it's interesting, but I, there's no. I'm probably gonna sell my AVAX honestly. Whatever. Um, dude, what BitTorrent?
Have you used AVAX? It's like to me, it was
I
the
have. It
worst
was
by
hard, but
far.
like UX can always improve, so I'm not gonna base anything on their like very nascent UX. But yeah, it seems like somewhat. We'll see what happens with AVAX. I don't
People
want to
hate
rule
on
it out
like
yet.
the Polkadot and the Kusama or whatever because they use the same UI. I actually think it's okay. I mean, it's ugly, but like I think it's usable. You know,
It's that
I
fucking
didn't have
parody,
any
that
problem
old
with it.
parody UI. Oh my, it's just Gavin. It's literally just, it's like Gavin's default UI. Um,
Polygon. I mean, you know,
Whoa,
they
34.
have
Wow.
more use than I mean, it's crazy to see them that high, but they have more use than a lot of quote unquote Ethereum competitors. They are essentially a friendly Ethereum competitor.
Yep.
With some use of Ethereum as well with these checkpoints.
I can sell
Cosmos
that.
is like one of the things that I think is most
Dude,
undervalued. I
so
don't own any,
undervalued.
never have, but I think you can make a case like they actually have things that use it. I do think there is something to the why does value accrue to Atom, just like why does value accrue
Right.
to. It's not
Yep.
exactly clear, but I mean,
They'll
in
figure it
terms of
out.
like ecosystems after Ethereum and Bitcoin, there's really just Cosmos. I mean, what else is like use
Yep.
wise? I don't think there is anything if
So
you
I've
include stuff
been,
like Matic and Ethereum's,
yeah, man.
but
I've been
especially.
buying this shit up because I made the mistake with all of these DeFi governance tokens being like, these are valueless governance tokens. Why would I ever buy one of these? And then people like they retroactively add use cases to the token that are like like they add kind of value accrual to the token. And so I
That's
think
what
that's what's going to
governance is
happen
for.
here. That's what governance is for. And so, you know, I think they'll figure it out. And the Cosmos ecosystem is like kind of blossoming, and it's cool to see. Like I like Cosmos, and like I always thought Jaquan was a smart ass dude, and so I mean, yeah, I'm pretty bullish on this right now, to be honest.
It's
So
it's it's just embarrassing for crypto that IOTA has a higher market cap
oh my
than
god.
Cosmos. I
Okay,
mean,
now we're getting to
even in
like
the
yeah, we're
same
getting to
league, and it's
dude,
just insane.
insane. There's literally
Or
this should be
BSV. I mean,
$1, $1.
EOS.
Just dude, what is Clay also? Do we even know? Just scam coin.
Yeah, it's a no, it's a it might be a Tendermint chain. I vaguely recall something. It's out. I want to say it's in Korea.
Well, yep.
It might be like the Korean H bar.
Oh my
It's
god.
something like that. I mean, it
Can't believe we
wasn't
still
like
have like
particularly
geographically
trustless
located.
or anything, but I mean, I don't know. They might have users. Like Luna
They
apparently
must.
has users. I don't use it or anything, so I don't know, but
They do.
I think
Yes.
they really legit have users in Korea.
Yep.
So give them props for that, right? Like,
Yeah, it's taking
um,
off. I
same
bought
with
some Luna.
Pancake Swap.
They have
Does
users.
take
Pancake
like
Cake has users.
yeah? I mean, is it worth $6 billion? six point
Definitely
seven? I
not.
mean, yeah, probably not. But Neo, wow,
Neo,
I would have thought Neo
Neo,
was
I
off the
can't.
front
I
page.
thought
I
it
didn't
was
realize.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, It's
Holy,
not.
how do
That's
we
not
short?
the real thing. Do people know that? Like,
Dude, honestly, I'm like right after this, I'm gonna figure out how to short Neo and immediately short Neo. I cannot believe that
that's
it is
crazy.
worth $7 billion still. It's fucking dead, guys. What are you doing?
Monero, Tron, Filecoin. I mean, Filecoin, their valuation is literally in like more than Ethereum's, right? Like fully
It
diluted,
is
which there's like a caveat on that, but even so, like it's
right.
insane. I mean, like Filecoin is probably not even as good as Saya's tech. In fact, it's not. I mean, I think we could just say that. Of course, they have better marketing and they actually seem to care about Web3 as a use case where like
Yep.
David Vorik, the Sia founder, doesn't. Although he gets very offended if you say that on Twitter. But I mean, I think he's like a recovering Bitcoin maxi and he's recovering, like he's on his journey, but like he, he doesn't really care about like, trying to be the front end for Ethereum apps. I mean, if, if he did, it would probably be a thing by now. Um,
Yeah, I think that the current valuation is not justified based on the amount of activity happening on Filecoin. I think that maybe sometime in the future there will be some things being built on Filecoin, and it could be a piece of the Web3 puzzle. Not ruling it out. I think
Definitely,
like
yeah.
yeah, it's a good project, and
Overvalued, legit tech. I mean,
yep, exactly.
but overvalued right now by a lot. I mean,
By a
frankly,
lot. Yeah. Um,
Theta. I don't even know what
but
that is. I
I
looked
think
it
it's
up a
like
couple weeks ago. It was like video delivery
video.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Not I'm not investing that.
Put me down as skeptical.
Skeptical. Yeah,
Solana.
I'm skeptical.
I
Solana.
mean,
Like I
they
get why it's
use they
valued
use
as.
VDS for consensus, which I think is kind of crazy because like it's you know mission critical in that case, but super unproven, like more than most things, and even in this like cutting edge in this space. I've talked to some people. I don't want to name them, but some of the smartest people, like not in Ethereum necessarily either, and they don't think it works fundamentally. I will
Mhm.
say that Solana has like smart guys. I mean, these guys are like Silicon Valley. Like Anatoly is like clearly a bright guy. Very Silicon Valley dev. That's also like part of their thing is like they're clearly in this because it was the way to make money in 2017,
Yep.
2018. Like they're not in it for like the ways like some people that have been around the space are for a while, and it shows. I mean, it's a very centralized. It's like EOS but done by legit developers, basically, right?
That's exactly how I view it. Yep.
And it has some of the same people behind it that don't care about decentralization. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's I have nothing else to add here. I yeah, whatever.
yeah, again, like I said about Binance, though. I mean, that's probably like I'm maybe a little bit harsh on it. I mean, it's a thing. Like if they deliver a real product and it works, I probably
I
wouldn't
just
put money on it because I'm a little skeptical that it works. But like if it they've done some cool stuff, I can't like take some of that away from them for sure.
yeah, agreed. But like at the end of the day, what I'm worried about is there becomes this is I was back like I'm worried about Solana for the same reason that I was worried about EOS is because like they are not in it for the right reasons and their design decisions reflect that. And I think the user experience of those flawed or like not abiding by like our cultural relevancy design decisions like those things are appealing to the end user like 23 validators make shit way faster. I was worried that people are going to see EOS and be like, why are people doing Ethereum when I could just do shit like way faster and cheaper on EOS? They screwed it up. I think that's what's happening here. You can do things way faster and cheaper on Solana, but you're sacrificing a lot to get that. And the average person doesn't realize that. They're just going to click the button and the experience is going to be better. And so I just don't, I'm happy that they're like people are building other stuff in the space. I don't want to hate on anyone, but I just That worries me a little bit. And I don't think that they have a chance of like really competing because the smart people like actually understand what's going on. And so
Right.
that's why that was what I said at the beginning. All smart people are going to migrate to Ethereum because they actually understand what's going on. And Ethereum is the best choice right now. But yeah, that's what I'm worried about. People get sucked into like degeneracy.
They can pump it. I mean,
Yeah.
given who's behind it, I think, it could pump from here. It could also dump because those people that are pumping it to dump it. So, like, look, who knows, man? I mean, it's not a game that I have any
Yeah.
interest in playing, right? Like, you are at the mercy of whales that are pumping to dump. That's the way I view it. So,
Yeah.
um,
How the
we
fuck
saw how
is
that happened
Taylor
with
here, dude?
EOS, by the
Sorry.
way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, now it's
So
only
I'd be
worth
careful, but
6 billion. How is it still worth $6 billion?
I know
Anyway,
it's crazy.
how is
Stellar,
Stellar worth
what is there to say? VE
$12 billion?
chain, what is there to say?
Nothing, nothing.
Link. Um, you know, uh,
It's a
look, Link has
controversial
not
one.
solved oracles. I think
No.
that's the annoying thing is that you then see like they have like a $40 billion valuation, but they haven't solved oracles. And you know, like look, I'm glad that Link exists, like Chainlink exists, like it is a widely used thing on Ethereum today. Do I think it's worth like 40 billion or even like 16? Like if you don't include all of the Chainlink Labs holdings? I mean, I don't, not even close, honestly. But
Same.
it, uh,
I,
it's sort of become a meme coin for 4chan too. So who knows what'll happen?
dude, meme coin. I mean, Dogecoin is number 6, so that goes to show you how powerful memes are. But I have never. I held some Link for a very short period of time, and that was purely like a speculative play. And I'm not ready to at the current valuation of Chainlink, I'm not ready to say Chainlink. I'm not confident in saying Chainlink is the answer to the Oracle problem. I don't think that it like could it win the Oracle game? Maybe. It's like a hard maybe for me at this point. And I think a much more secure bet is betting on like we're still betting on the protocol layer. How the fuck are you going to bet on how are you going to bet on these other layers? So that's my stance. I think you can make speculative plays on these other things, but things are going to come and go. You can't really make long term investments in these things. It's more like is this shit going to be relevant for the short term? Um, and like, will it like last into the long term? And I don't know. All this shit feels very speculative. If we're still betting on L1s, it just,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
Speaking of Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, which are these vestigial things from
Dude. Oh.
2017 or before, I mean, yeah, what can you even say? It's just like kind of embarrassing for us as an industry that those are 10th and 11th. And I like Bitcoin Cash. I mean, I was, like
Yeah.
I think most Ethereum people were sort of sympathetic. I mean, I think I thought SegWit was a good idea too. So I wasn't really exactly in the Bitcoin Cash camp, but I certainly didn't think that 2 MB blocks was the end of the world, right? That was a
Yep.
pretty reasonable thing for Bitcoin to do. And, so I was sort of in between foot in both camps. But I mean, I thought they have tried to do some decent things, but I mean, there's not a lot of use. Actually, I think there has been some use lately because of the bull market. So I guess give it some credit for that. But it seems
I'm,
pretty dead to me,
yeah.
honestly. I mean, it's
It
a
seems,
zombie chain.
it's sad. It's sad that it seems dead, but it is dead. I thought it was going to put up much more of a fighting chance. I still hold my Bitcoin Cash just because I think Roger Ver's in it for the right reasons, much more so than Blockstream. So, like,
Yeah,
philosophically, I am much more aligned with Bitcoin Cash, but it's losing the battle. I don't think it would lose it this bad. I don't care about
yeah,
the money of it at this point. It's just like I'm going to hold it just because, you know, whatever. I'll ride it to
right.
zero.
What do you think about Uniswap? So fully diluted it to like 40
Kind
billion. So I
of
mean, depending on
crazy.
how you, yeah, because like Hayden even tweeted like, no, Uniswap DAO has like 17 billion today. Somebody said they
Oh
only had
my
7.
lord.
So I mean, they have an insane amount of money. So fully diluted at $40 billion. That's sort of crazy. On the other
That's
hand, it's by far the most used app
Right.
in this entire space, right? Outside of like, Ethereum itself, if you were to consider that an app. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's not that crazy on that sense. I mean, hey,
The token doesn't do anything.
I mean,
Also,
they can vote that in though, right? I mean,
right. That's why I mean
that's,
I'm holding uni, of course, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's, I think it's one of those things where you can make arguments where it's overvalued. You can make arguments that it's incredibly undervalued just because of how much use it has relative to all the rest of the crap that's on, that we talk about on this page, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that uh it's a hard one. One, there's no use for the token, but two, to back to my previous point, like I'm still not I'm comfortable playing these application layer coins and projects for the very short term, but I honestly for this cycle, it's going to depend on how long the cycle lasts, but my current perspective is for this cycle, I'm going to not make the long-term bet on the application layer and I'm going to move everything back to ETH because I think at this point ETH is one of the sure bets. Whereas tomorrow, some new developer or group of developers from Stanford and Google and Facebook can come out and release a better exchange. And we saw what happens when there's like Sushi Swap stole what is sushi at? Whatever. It's like they stole a majority of like or a lot of liquidity from Uniswap very quickly. And so you see the network effects aren't there at the application layer. People are very liquid, and so I can't value it this high really because tomorrow some hyper genius can come out and launch something better, and people will go use that. So, yeah.
I can't argue with that too strongly. I would just say that, numbers continue to go up and generally technology that
Yeah.
is like that, those things tend to be undervalued because like if you think this is a growth space and those numbers are going to, increase in an above average way. But yeah, I mean, all of your points are valid. I mean, I don't know if I have a strong opinion either way. Polkadot. It's kind of crazy
Polkadot,
that
dude.
it's less than 10x its testnet. Like I almost wonder if like
That's actually
maybe
crazy.
the testnet has stolen some of the valuation like from it, or I don't know. Maybe there is a symbiotic relationship. People buy the testnet, and then I don't know, man. I
On-chain governance is a bug.
Yeah, on-chain governance is a bug. When people ask me who's like a legit teams in this space, I basically say like Near, Cosmos, and Polkadot.
Same.
Um,
Yep.
I like outside of Ethereum. I, Gavin is not necessarily a beloved figure in Ethereum, even though he obviously was, did a lot and is, is a genius. Um, it's hard for me to, I mean, on-chain governance is kind of a deal breaker for me, just in general. I don't know that their token has a real means of value accrual. I tweeted this out, and like the Polka people called me scammers. But I tweeted like, to me, an obvious trade was like, short, like a pair trade, right? Is short dot and long near, right? Because like to me, near is just obviously undervalued compared
Totally.
to Polkadot, and they're competitors to each other, and they have relatively similar-ish things. Just near doesn't have on-chain governance.
Yep.
That's not really true that they're like, I mean, Cosmos and Polkadot and Near and Ethereum, the long-term models are all like, if you squint, they're all the same, right? I mean, they're not that far off of each other in some ways,
Right.
right? So, um,
No,
yeah.
I
Do
see
I
what you're
see a reason to
saying.
use Polkadot? I don't know. I hear this like pumpy things on it these days, but I personally, and maybe it's because I'm not in the ecosystem, I don't really see people building on it. I mean, do you?
I think there are actually.
I think
I've
there are
not like
some.
there's some, and I mean, it honestly seems like the Polkadot ecosystem is. I don't know. I honestly can't have too strong of like a view or opinion on this because I haven't dove too deep, but just from a very surface level, it seems like there is kind of a lot going on. And I don't know if it's like legitimate stuff. Like, again, there's probably nothing extremely novel being built on Polkadot because if you're building something novel, you build it on Ethereum because all the liquidity and all the Lego blocks are on Ethereum. So no like new legitimate novel stuff, but probably a lot of copycats. It's yeah, it seems like there is an ecosystem growing. I like Gavin. I think he's Gavin. If you want to come back to Ethereum, we'll forgive you. It's okay. Don't worry about it. No hard feelings, dude.
Chance of that is
Just
zero.
zero at this point. But yeah, I like Gavin. And yeah, gonna hold my polka dots and see where the ecosystem goes. I don't think it like really has a fighting chance, but maybe there's this like multi L1 world. I don't think so. I think it just doesn't. It literally logically doesn't make sense, but could happen. So whatever, we'll see.
So it's interesting, like what we say about Gavin, and then we'll compare to like what we're gonna say about Charles
Oh
Hoskinson from Cardano,
no.
right? And it's like I don't. It's actually amusing that I think more people don't know, or maybe they just don't care because Cardano is like Ripple and XRP. They market to the lowest information, whatever people that don't understand the space, but like think they do.
Yeah.
But like, people in Ethereum respect Gavin, even if like,
Yeah.
there's certainly people that hate him, right? Like people still I think everyone respects Gavin. And you can
Mm-hmm.
say a lot of things that like elaborate on all of those points in many ways. But like, Gavin and Parody, like, they are legit technologists. Cardano.
On the
I
other
mean,
hand,
no, I don't think anyone has ever said that. I mean, there's even a contractor who I won't name because it's probably going to be obvious who it is. Maybe I said this on our last podcast a year ago, but they do like they're legit technologists. They've done some work for Ethereum. They've done some work for like stuff like Cardano, stuff for Tezos. I asked them about it, like, doing work for Tezos, and they were kind of like sheepish. They're like, yeah, well, whatever, it pays the bills. And like, I asked them about their work for Cardano, and they're like, what do you want me to say? It paid well, like, yeah.
You see
If
me,
there's
I like.
anything there at all, I haven't figured it out because I
No,
mean,
there's nothing there.
nobody takes Charles seriously. I mean, he got fired right away. Everybody hated him. He thought that he was like a leader of Ethereum, but nobody else thought that for those few months. Then he acted like a baby for the next few years. Anyway.
You know my opinion because I very often tweet like extremely negative Cardano things because I just like hate so much everything about Cardano, and then I like promptly delete them because I'm trying to be like a positive human because it's bad to be negative. But like I'll say it now, like so it pains me because my normie friends, there have been so many of them that have come to me and been like, what do you think about Cardano? And so somehow, some way, this is appealing to the masses and they're buying it. They're not even listening to me. Somehow, this messaging is so convincing that they're like, OG crypto friend is not enough to convince them that this is complete trash. It's like, I've got nothing in this game, dude. You can invest in Cardano, you can invest in Wazir X. I don't care. Like, there's a million fucking coins. There's nothing like, I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. Just don't buy this one. There's a million other things you can buy that are like super legitimate. Like
Right.
what? And somehow they're still like, no, I'm gonna go with Cardano, bro. So I don't understand it. Is
It's
it
funny.
like what's going
Everyone
on?
says this. I don't have this experience. I don't know. Nobody's ever asked me about Cardano. Maybe I don't know.
You
My friends
talk
are
to
smart.
two
I don't know.
well-informed. Yeah, they're too smart. You talk to well-informed people. It's sad. It scares me. Like it's cool to see like how good like or how important marketing is, but they're doing
Yeah,
something
yeah.
right. I don't want to spend the time to figure out what they're doing right from a marketing perspective because it's a waste of time because this is going to zero. But what if it doesn't, dude? What if there's what if this what if it beats Ethereum? It's not
Yeah,
that far off.
that's too crazy to even consider.
Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have even said that.
DPoS, DPoS. They'd have to ship things, beyond just papers that don't say very much except for academia. Uh, I
uh,
don't know, man.
yeah.
Maybe Cardano has done some work in some level, but like
I'm sure they've done somewhere. I don't. Maybe they're.
functional programming is its own little cult, right? And like Tezos and Cardano are both playing to it. Those folks are smart. I mean, functional programmers are smart, but
Yep.
they're functional programmers. I mean, if you know anything about functional programmers, it just kind of says it all, right? I mean,
Yep. That's
yeah.
actually a good point, and that's probably why they still don't have smart contracts on Cardano after however many years. Anyway.
I feel like XRP, we can just say the same thing as Cardano. I mean, yeah,
I
it's actually impressive as to how they keep this pump up, given
dude.
that it's all lies. I mean, like banks are not using XRP. Ripple pays banks to people. Ripple pays anyone to like pretend to use like Ripple, but they never even use XRP. They just use like Ripple. Um,
I
but yeah, nobody
don't
uses
get
it.
it. Nobody uses it. There's nothing happening with XRP. This will never be used. And the same exact thing is happening with XRP. Even honestly, kind of like more so than Cardano's like a recent thing for me, but forever, people, my friends would come to me and be like, what do you think about XRP? And it's like, just buy literally anything else. And I, how is it? It's number four. It is the fourth most valuable crypto in the entire world. That is embarrassing for
It
the
is, yeah.
entire
It is.
ecosystem. I don't get it. You TikTok nerds, you gotta stop fucking shilling XRP. I don't care how profitable it is to shill it. You're in it for the wrong reasons. Please don't keep pumping this stupid stuff. And you see like kind of like legitimate traders and stuff. They're like, I'm longing XRP here. It's like, no, I don't care if you're a trader. I don't care if you're just in it to make money. Stop trading XRP. Stop trading XRP. Stop trading Cardano. You can still make money trading with things that are going to benefit the world. Like you can kill two birds with one stone. Right now, you're just embarrassing us and pumping these things that, dude, how much of the XRP supply is controlled by whatever the XRP company is. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
why
know.
you shouldn't trade it, right? Is because like you're literally just providing liquidity for them to cash out
Yeah,
on you more billions of
exactly.
dollars. I mean, the SEC report. I actually thought they'd cashed out billions, but they haven't.
Uh,
They've each cashed out like 700 million. Um,
too
all the
much.
while they pump it so hard and do these fake partnerships. So we have Dogecoin and Tether left. Do we even want to talk about Tether? I don't have like
No,
a
no.
I mean, I don't know. I think I probably said it last time. It seems to me like they are probably not fully collateralizing it with dollars like they say they are, but they probably are more or less collateralizing it because, you know, it's an
I think
exchange. They have money. They're probably betting on Bitcoin, but they own an exchange, so they know whether the price is going to go up or down too. So like, I'm not really a Tether truther. There's like some shadiness there, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah. We
yeah.
probably have different opinions on Dogecoin, by the way.
I've got it. Yeah, we definitely do. This is gonna be the spiciest one, and we saved it for last, and this is gonna
Because
be
you
epic.
sounded
I
like
love
you
it.
were like, like upset about Dogecoin. I actually think like Dogecoin at number 6 makes
Oh
total
no.
sense, right? Like it's less of a scam than most of the stuff on this list. I mean,
Yeah.
like, would you rather Dogecoin or XRP have a $70 billion market cap? I mean, Dogecoin is at least has a community. It's a little weird, but it's I think they have like a real community. There are some actual devs that work on it, maybe not doing anything particularly great, but whatever. I mean, it's a meme coin, just like Bitcoin, but like the meme is, I don't know, it's an internet legend. I think the meme is better than Bitcoin. You know, like I don't know. Of all the things in this space, like Dogecoin at number 6 doesn't bother me. I
I
know.
agree.
I mean, it's because Elon's pumping it, whatnot. You know, all that is true. You know, it's sort of a joke to these people. Maybe that's bad for crypto. But like, is it more of a joke than XRP or Cardano? I'd say no. Actually, I had a tweet about this like a week ago where I said like, you know, X Doge is a joke project. It's still more serious than
That's a good
XRP or
tweet. That's
Cardano.
a good
So
tweet. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something totally different because I have tweeted this many times. I'm a Dogecoin maximalist. Like that was, I fucking love Dogecoin, and I started mining it right when it came out, and like Dogecoin was beautiful. It was like people were just giving away their Doge, and it was worth
right,
real money back then. Like back then, I had to like buy it via PayPal. Just like there wasn't even like
yeah,
exchanges, but it was like people were just giving it away, and like so they're giving so much away. And like we funded the Jamaican bobsled team, and we funded the Doge car. Like, dude, I'll never forget. Like, just I lived in the studio apartment, and I'd never watched NASCAR, and I fucking like could not wait for like whatever day that was where I like turned on the TV, and I like there was a Doge on the car. Like it was
yeah,
so fucking funny. It's amazing, and it just shows like what the power of community and memes can do if you just like approach things with a lighthearted attitude. You can actually do a lot of good in the world, and you can bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. And I think that's what Dogecoin stands for. It stands for like, hey guys, like let's not take ourselves too seriously here. Like this whole world is a fucking game. And you know, like at the time, Ethereum didn't exist. And so it was like me contrasting Bitcoin to Dogecoin. And I would go to these Bitcoin meetups, and everyone was like all about the money. Like early days, I feel like Bitcoin was more about the technology. It transitioned to being these like kind of seedy people who were all about the money. And I was like, this isn't really like that interesting. Like I know the technology is revolutionary, but I don't really want to hang out with these people. Then I found Dogecoin, and it was like they're like, fuck it, we don't care about the money else, give it all away. Like there was this fucking treasure hunt in SF where this guy just posted these posters, and you could scan the poster, and it would give you like 1 million Dogecoin, which is worth like
yeah. Now a
what
lot of
three
money.
hundred fifty thousand dollars now. And this guy was just going around like posting
Wow.
these posters. I like left work to go try to find these. Like it was so fun, and it was so cool, and it was like what this shit's supposed to be about. So I will forever be a Dogecoin maximalist. I have a Dogecoin hat. I got a Dogecoin necklace. I got Dogecoin shirts. I will wear that shit proud any day, even if the TikTok pumpers are pumping it. So I mean, is it worth $45 billion? No, I sold all my Dogecoin because this is stupid. I sold it for ETH. Like it. This is dumb, guys.
That was the
Like,
best part after the whole
this is dumb.
diatribe about great Doge was. But of course, I already sold it,
This is literally,
but I
yeah.
still
I mean,
support it. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel that.
I
Yeah,
held it.
it's
I held it until a few weeks ago for what 7 years. I held it for 7 years. I didn't even
wow.
look at it because it was like I don't care about the price. It was just like I'm gonna hold this Dogecoin forever because it like means something to me more than money. And then it's like okay, guys.
And then it was actual money.
then,
So
then
okay, never
no,
mind.
yeah, no. Then it's like it was. I had a lot of Dogecoin. It was always actual money, but then it was like this is like financially prudent. It's like, bro,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not worth 40. Like this meme isn't worth 45 billion. Like, do you understand what it would take to build a $45 billion company? It's worth more than Ford. Do you understand? Like, anyway, that's my rant on Dogecoin. I fucking love it, but this is stupid. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
literally stupid.
no. I mean, the early, yeah, it was like positivity, you know, like you could go in their
Positivity,
subreddit
man.
and you could just say like very whatever, such wow, and people just give you Doge,
They
you know,
love
and it
it.
was
They're
so
like, fuck yeah,
cool.
welcome to the community. Yeah, and like
It's
that helped me out. Yeah.
it was interesting to me that Jackson Palmer quit so early and actually blamed it being toxic because I didn't. Maybe there was on some level, but
I
in the
think he got
subreddit,
like,
not true.
yeah, I think, I don't know. There had to have been something. I think maybe there was like one Reddit post that he had that like he got a lot of flack for, and he just like rage quit after that. I'm trying to remember, but I feel bad for the dude. I feel real bad. Like I think he's still like
Yeah.
working at Adobe or something. Um, when his coin is worth
Yeah,
45
yeah.
million.
He could have just held his Doge and he'd be a billionaire.
Just
He's a Bitcoiner though. I mean, he did some ETH videos back in the last bull cycle in like 2017, 2018, but I talked to him briefly in maybe 2019. He was like, it was actually at the same dinner where I was with Zuko was at. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just seemed like a regular Bitcoiner to me.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't like a.
Although he makes fun of Bitcoin too sometimes. It's sort of
I
strange.
think he's like not a crypto man. Like I don't know if he believes in any of this stuff, and I think that makes sense why he made Dogecoin and also why he sold all his Dogecoin and everything else. And
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. You know, he did it as a joke, and you know, to him, you know, the fact that it was even like at $1 billion last crypto cycle was like, you know, in 2018 was like a, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Because to me, this is like a. I think he even said he'd had a few beers or something. You know, a joke and did Dogecoin.
Yeah.
But you know, that's like a weird thing about life sometimes is people can ascribe more value to what you do than you do, and in some ways Dogecoin is art. I mean, in a weird way, you know, like you said, it's like the creativity and the positivity in the community, and like in some
Yeah.
ways Doge is like almost like an art project.
It
So
really
if you
is.
value it like that,
I just want to give a huge shout out to this guy, Josh Wise. So he was the Doge car driver, and like I I don't know, man. He just like brought a lot of legitimacy to this back in the day. So all you current Dogecoin people, give thanks to Josh Wise because he was like the one adult in the room. He was like a professional NASCAR driver, and he was stoked on Dogecoin. He was posting about it. He changed his profile picture to some illustration that people made of him, like in this like Superman Dogecoin outfit. It was incredible, and he just like really embraced the community. Like I hung out with him. He's just like a really, really nice, down to earth dude who like really embraced this super weird counterculture of crypto, of like Dogecoin crypto, which is even weirder than crypto. And like, honestly, great fucking guy. Tip him some Dogecoins. He deserves it. And yeah, anyway, that concludes our top 69. That went better than I expected, dude. I drank more beers than I expected and
are you gonna
slurred more
post
than I
this?
expected. I don't know.
You're still recording. I mean, the thing is,
We're
yeah, I
gonna
thought it went better,
we're gonna
but
rewatch it.
we just rambled. You know, I mean, do people really want to watch like 2 hours of us talking or 90
Yeah,
minutes or whatever it is?
probably not.
Um, so maybe we should like re-record it and like cut it down or something.
I'll rewatch it. I'll send it to you and see what you think.
On unlisted YouTube or whatever.
Unlisted YouTube, yeah. Anyway, yeah, if you're still if this gets posted and you're listening, I can't believe you made it 2 hours and 34 minutes. You gotta
That
hopefully
was
you're
all
driving.
2 hours of recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the total call.
Oh no, I think that's a total call. You're right. Probably less than probably
Like
2 hours.
90 minutes. Yeah.
Hopefully you're driving. Hopefully you're on a plane. Hopefully you're not sitting here watching us the whole time. But thank you for tuning in. And this is episode 1 potentially of Proof of Drink podcast. Any final remarks, Evan?
Nope.